Hey there, viewers, and welcome here. It's Rod. What we're going to be doing right now is conducting a Fall of Cybertron podcast concerning the updated 2017 clan tournament. It's going to be a little bit differently this year. To help me go over and elaborate the details in question for the new layout that's going on here, I have with me Tarquinus, representing of Lightning Strike Coalition. Torque.
Hey everybody.
And I have AB Jagadeer 11 representing from the Pride of Festoon clan. AB.
What's up, guys? Hey.
And myself of Tact. And so the topic here is just mainly the outline of the clan, of the whole clan competition. Alright, let us delve into it. Now, what is we got here? They're going to be going over team captains, 5 each. If I remember this correctly. The 5 team. It's mainly just two big teams, pretty much, is what this is summed up. In order to try and establish a balance.
There are a few different things in play right here. The team captains for this whole thing, it looks like, are going to be A77 from CEG. Dark Vexes. I'm not sure which clan he is technically representing. Yourself, Lord Megatron from EL, and Mad Dog from DMG/Nemesis, what we're going to call him right now. The faction concept is kind of weird. It involves multiple clans being part of 2 different overall groupings. And then what they're looking at doing additionally would be a draft of all the people who want to actually play. And it'll be set up kind of like an NFL draft.
Okay.
If you noticed in that group of team leaders, I did not mention AB, who is the leader of PF at the moment, or MZ, who is the leader of LSC, or myself, who is essentially the second in command. And we have chosen not to participate in that sort of organization of clan battles right now.
So this new competition that's being outlined here, LSC's not trying to have any part of it.
Well, that's the thing. We don't really want to have a part of it as an overall group. If individual members from LSC want to participate, they are totally free to do so. But we feel that it would be better to actually have, a type of clan battle tournament versus what they are looking at putting together right now, where everybody sort of picks players off of a list.
Okay, like a jumbled list of members that are given from each clan of that side.
Correct. And I mean, looking at it right now, it looks like they have about somewhere between 30, 40 players roughly who are going to be participating in it. And if they want to do that, that's totally fine. I have no opposition to it whatsoever. But I don't know if those should technically be considered valid or complementary to actual clan battles.
Like how normal clan battle conduct is done.
Correct. I don't have any issues with the idea of trying to standardize a rule format. I've always believed in that. But what they're looking at doing is kind of, I don't know, not necessarily tearing apart clans.
But they're mixing. They're coming up with a new idea, but they're not giving a complete outline for said new idea.
Right. That's my concern. And I think AB, who is actually kind of a little bit ahead of this compared to me, could probably give a little bit more insight into that.
All right, AB, go on ahead.
Yeah, I just feel that the whole tournament structure has been rushed, and there wasn't really any input from anyone from LSE or PF about how the tournament was going to be structured. And I just feel that the reason I wanted us to talk about this topic today was because I feel that both LSE and PF have an influential role in this community, and I don't think it was the best decision to not include us for that. And I'd also like to add to that, there seems to be a lack of clarity about what the actual tournament is going to consist of, because I heard that it was initially like a tournament for all the clans, but then later on it was sort of added into a draft system, and then later on there was another update about that there was going to be a 4BT sort of style to it, and I just think that it was rushed, and I think there should be more thought taken into this, because it is a big thing for the community.
Yeah, because the way these things usually go, it's never anything small.
We got everything, right?
Yeah, we did. In the process of it being rushed along, that could be the case, because it was an idea that was thrown out there for a good amount of time. That was marinated on for a while, and then you got to take a look at particular people, like I guess A77 and maybe one or two other people that rushed the idea along in order to try and get it going, because it was something new, something fresh.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody has any kind of opposition with something new or something fresh. I mean, I certainly don't. We've been kind of at the forefront of trying to do different types of, I don't want to call them gimmick matches, but, different
things that different from the norm.
It's like, yeah, exactly. Different from what you would find in a public game. I mean, nobody has any kind of interest in just repeating that over and over again in a private context. But what we're talking about here, to some extent, actually has been done several times before, and it hasn't been particularly successful. Back in 2013, so, we're going back a long time now. I tried to put together a tournament of random teams, and I put together, a pretty good, series of teams, I thought. And it was basically going to be a tournament involving, 4 versus 4, 5 versus 5. It didn't really matter, but just however many people showed up. I had over 50 people who signed up. Not a single person ever showed up to play any one of those matches, ever. And we did that again with 4 Brothers tournament. A few more people showed up for it, but, the finals were never done. Only I think about 3 of the actual initial matches were done, and it just sort of lingered there forever. And I'm concerned that if we try to do this again with this whole structure right here, it's going to wind up exactly the same way.
The 4 Brothers tournament was spearheaded by Straxus or Danicky?
Dan, yeah.
How was the structure of the 4 Brothers tournament?
Well, essentially, it was going to be a 4 versus 4. It was going to be 1 person per class per team, and Dan was going to kind of like assemble the different teams. He was going to note who was going to be on each one. And we had enough people who signed up for it, and they were random teams. The team I was on involved myself, Julian, Clunker Slim, and MOD Pro Destroyer. And I mean, that's a good team. And that's a fantastic team. You can't really ask for much better than that. But, we didn't have really any experience working together before. And we were going against, 4 people who were in, at the time, the Kirkland Muffin Men, KMM, one of the oldest clans on Fall of Cybertron. And, we just kind of got bowled over a little bit. But, losing the match is not really that big a deal. But unfortunately, what you wound up happening, or what you wound up seeing, was that people didn't really understand the concept, didn't know how to participate in the clan battles, didn't know how to make the actual matches work. There was no overall guidance that was going to provide anything more than what we got from a few GameFAQs postings.
Yeah, I'd also like to add that I was a part of 4BT as well. I was in Team 7. I think the whole structure of that was really good. Danny did good work. It came down to a lack of commitment, I feel, from players in the teams. So that's why it didn't really move forward, I think. And that's what you see with a lot of tournaments that has happened since 2013. It's really never got done. I think there was one, the CBL, that was the really only one that finished, I think. I'm not sure if there's any other tournament that actually had an ending or overall winner.
Yeah, the CBL, I mean, it got pretty far along. I mean, I remember that because we did play one match in it, but we never played more than that. I think ultimately PF was considered the winner of the CBL. And the CBL, if Rod's not familiar with it or the people watching aren't familiar with it, it was sort of an attempt to standardize how clan battles were fought. And, it wasn't a bad concept, but the execution of it was pretty lacking, personally, if I had to say.
Okay. Like the structure and how that tournament was, it was flawed in needed places.
Well, it did because, it was essentially based on the preferred rule set of one particular clan that sort of led the way in it. And it also did the number of people that could be on each team. It limited the rounds all to 4 versus 4. It did, on and on and on. I won't get into the full boring details of it, but it had its flaws because there was no room for any kind of variation. It had no room for what each clan was necessarily going to bring to the table in terms of organization, structure, planning, anything like that. And I think that's what makes a clan.
Okay.
Yeah, back to Tark's point. Obviously, there was 2 seasons to it. The first one, it was officially called a draw to everyone, and the second season, PF, we got crowned winners for that. I think Tark is right when he says that it was the clan rules. The clan battle rules for that was favoured towards one clan, and now I think that it's not necessarily a diss because the modern day rules on FOC, that clan sort of made the foundations for that.
Yeah, to make it even.
Pardon?
Yeah, the foundation of how most CB structure is now is usually so that way it's even across the board.
Yeah, exactly.
But for that tournament, it seems like majority of the time or later on down the road, it favored one side rather than both.
Yeah, you could say that.
Well, personally, I don't know if it really favored. But, it's for, many years now, since the very beginning of the actual game's, competitive scene. There have been some always that have been bigger than others, some that have been more competitive than others. And, this one particular clan is one that had a very high presence, one that could be seen pretty much anywhere, one that pretty much everyone knew, and it bridged the gap between sort of the GameFAQs clans and the PlayStation Network only clans, which, to some extent that makes it, a good choice in terms of what rule set to go with. But the rule set was so specific and it was so beyond what most people were used to that I don't know if it was an effective way of measuring how most groups would actually play the game.
That does sound complex.
And again, I don't want to, call anyone out or say it was necessarily a bad thing, because, this is a group that I have a lot of respect for. And, I've always had a lot of respect for. And I've always had a lot of respect for the people involved in it. But, their play style, their preferred setup was not necessarily in keeping with the rest of the community at the time. And I'm afraid that what we're seeing right now is kind of a repeat of that, where we've got, part of the community wants to do it one way, and the majority of the community wants to do it another way. And I don't want us to run into the same situation where it's sort of like, yeah, well, I guess we'll do it this way, but I'm not going to be happy with it.
And it pays to voice your opinion in such situations. That way, even though you're doing something new, you also don't want it to end up in a completely unsatisfied or confusing conclusion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As for my input about this new tournament, I say that the heart's in the right place. But before we can fully go ahead with this, I say that we need to, like what we're doing now with 3 representatives for 3 clans right now, is try and have a general totality of all the clan leaders that can meet that are still active today, and try and have a guideline for both veteran tournament players and new tournament players. Mix up a good idea outline here, and we can come up with a good rule structure for this new type of tournament outline. Or if they want to continue doing something new, then we could just try to resurrect the Four Brothers tournament idea, but patch up a few loose ends.
Right, and I mean, I don't think anyone disagrees that there should be some kind of standard. That's really one of the most important things to considering, a clan battle. Because, I mean, in years past, people considered, a 2 versus 2 in nothing but team deathmatch, a clan battle, and would chalk that up as a win. Personally, I don't feel that's a good reflection of a team's talent. If you do 3 matches in team deathmatch and they're all 2 versus 2, what does that say? It says that, okay, you've got 2 members who can play team deathmatch versus, 2 other members. So what? What does that prove? Nothing. And what I'm concerned about is that the format of this tournament and the preceding tournament kind of follow that same guideline a little bit. I think what you want to look at would be, to some extent, giving the teams a little bit more leeway in deciding, what is going to be the terms of their individual matches, but also having guidelines in place for saying, like, look, the minimum expectation here is that it's a 4 versus 4. It involves no more than 2 of each class, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then we'll consider that a clan battle. Now, anything above and beyond that, okay, that's fine. But, if you're not going to adhere to some minimum standard, it doesn't really make sense. It's not valid.
Okay.
I think what we're trying to say here is that we're not against the tournament idea. It's like we've been through tournaments in the past where, like, we're experienced enough to know that, how it works and all of that. We're not trying to shut people down and say no, don't do tournaments here. We're just trying to give our opinion on how we feel the tournament is going and the direction it's going in as well.
And that's an understandable concern.
Yes, and I mean, I don't think there's anything necessarily conflictual about the way this tournament is set up involving the draft and continuing to do regular clan battles. I don't think that there's anything that necessarily excludes one from the other. But I think it does complicate things a little bit. You can't have the leader of Clan A drafting people from Clan A, B, C, and D, and then them doing battles on their own, and then okay, well, aside from all that, we're going to do battles between Clan A and B. It creates kind of a not necessarily a conflict of interest, but just an idea of like, well, what's a team? What does that mean? Speaking for myself personally, I mean, we worked very hard to put together the team that we have. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a draft. I mean, we recruited people. And, these are people who we've known for years, in some instances, that we've gotten to play with us. There's no reason for us to just lose them to some other group because of the vagaries of some tournament.
I agree with that point. That's a strong point, yeah, that talk is raised there. One other point I'd like to raise is that Mad Dog, who created the tournament, like he created the tournament idea for 2016 and now the 2017 one. I remember him saying that the draft structure was created for it to be more equal among sort of the clan scene. Yeah, as Tark said, I feel that both LSC and PF have been in this game for a long time, and you know, we had to recruit, train. We've been playing with these guys for years, in some cases, and I don't know. It sort of feels unfair to say it creates more equal competition or something along those lines. But yeah, because as I said, we've been in this game for a long time, and it takes hard work to create a successful team. That's what I'd say.
There is truth to that. But the jumbling up of the tournament here from the, well, I guess from the simplistic way of looking at it, is that it just makes a powerful team out of nowhere.
Right. Right, and I mean that's really the problem right there. Is, I mean, you know, if you've got people that are in one group from TACT, EF, LS, EL, Nemesis, whatever, you know, groups just all thrown together, you know, you're going to have the advantage of different groups training these people and giving them different ideas, different perspectives, and that's great for, you know, a draft tournament. But when we go back and actually have clan battles, then you've got everybody sharing everybody else's ideas, everybody else's, you know, if you want to call it this, trade secrets, whatever.
Or trading secrets,
yeah,
and kind of telling them about other people's playing ideas and in the works.
Right, exactly. And I mean, you know, that's something that in, you know, my group, I can't speak for anybody else. You know, we've worked very hard over the years to kind of establish. You know, I don't want to brag. Well, actually, I kind of do want to brag. But, you know,
that is okay.
You know, LSC has lost, you know, in 3 years, you know, only 3 conquest matches. You know, 2 of which were to EL, 1 of which to PF. You know, it's not an accident. That's not because we're, you know, just the most lucky or the most amazing players ever born, but because we trained for that.
Yeah, conquest,
you know,
is like LSC's thing. It's like the highbrow.
Right, and you know, we tried very hard to make sure that we had a very tight conquest game. Same thing with capture the flag. We try as hard as we can at that. We train that. We talk about that. You know, but then if you have, you know, multiple people from multiple groups together in one whole, you know, mishmash, then you've got, you know, just essentially everyone revealing everybody else's secrets. I also find it really peculiar that the leaders of individual clans are also the leaders of this draft. That makes no sense. It's kind of counterintuitive. Because if you've got somebody like Mad Dog, for example, and nothing against Mad Dog, I like him a lot, but I mean, if he's the leader of Nemesis, but he's also leading a draft clan, well, that's, you know, that's kind of a conflict.
This is true.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I see the idea here. It would make more sense to, well, since the majority of us are already respective leaders in our own right, it would make sense to pass the power on to those that haven't had the opportunity yet. That way you see their perspectives in how they play and how the people around them play from their groups and from other groups.
Sure. I mean, I think it's totally appropriate to give, you know, a second in command or, you know, an individual team captain or whatever a chance to lead. You know, I don't have any problem with that. And I mean, I don't have any problem with the concept of a draft as long as it doesn't take away from what we're trying to do in terms of the clan battles. I feel the clans, personally, are sort of the cornerstone of the community that we have.
I feel so. There's a reason why all of our clans are still around to this day.
Right. And I mean, we've got some clans that, you know, can trace their lineage back to 2012 when the game came out, 2013. They're old. They've been around forever, and there's a continuing tradition there.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, obviously being the leader of PF, I said to Mad Dog that, I said officially as well that PF weren't going to take part in the 2017 tournament because of our own reasons, but there was sort of a committee put together by himself, and I don't think that it was fair to disinclude the influence, or not the influence, the experience of a person from LSE or PF. I think he should. I think collectively they should have done more to ensure that someone from both of those clans were in that discussion. That's what I believe.
100% agree. There's no argument here whatsoever. PF and LFC have both been around for 3 years now, something like that, maybe even more. We're comprised primarily of people who've been playing the game since day one, and we've all been involved in the overall competitive clan scene, for many years. And if you want to make something like this work, it's really a good idea to actually ask people who have experience in doing it. And if it's an idea that's not workable, well, you know what? It's a good idea to actually have those people to say, hey, this isn't going to work. Let's try to refine it a little bit. But, neither I nor I believe AB, were consulted about any of this until well after the fact.
Yeah, we weren't.
Interesting. Well, to ask other people for advice on this, I believe, is also a good way where we can start. Was there anything else you guys wanted to go into on this, or does this feel like it's a good wrapping up point?
I had a couple other things that I wanted to get into with it. If that's okay.
Sure, go on ahead.
Okay. Just to sort of recap what we have been talking about. We've had experience with multiple tournaments of this type. We know where they work and where they don't. We know how they work and how they don't. And unfortunately, over the years, these types of tournaments with random teams, with drafts, etc., do not really work very well. There are a lot of reasons for that, but a big one is the fact that, we're talking about clans. People want to fight with their clan. I've got people in LSC who have been with me for, 2, 3, 4 years now, in one way or another. And they don't have any interest in going outside of that group.
Understandable.
Then you have
Remy feels that way. Understandable, because Remy said that he feels that way about it. He loves LSC that much. It's his family.
Yeah, and Remy is great. He's loyal. He understands our concept. He's very trainable. He's a great teammate, and that's what we're actually all about, is team play. We like teamwork. We like teammates. Then you have some other groups who maybe aren't the same way. You have other groups who are more about, let's just get as much muscle in here as humanly possible and see what we can do. And you know what? That's great for them. If that's what they want to do, fantastic, perfect, go for it. I don't agree with that philosophy, but whatever. If other groups do, I don't care.
Yeah,
but
that's their thing. Yeah, I know what you mean, and that's their thing.
Yeah, and if you're reducing the entire competitive scene to just that type of mentality, it's not going to work. Because you've got to have people, who, number one, want to work together, number two, who can actually show up together at the same time, and number three, who are actually going to deliver a victory. Because you can have people whose priorities are completely different. You can have somebody who's an excellent killer but can't play objectives. You can have someone who's a great objective player but can't kill to save their lives. If you put those two together, that's not going to work out very well if they don't have their eye on the bigger picture. And unfortunately, that's what the sort of draft system, lends itself to. And it's something that, we have experience with in the past, and it has not worked out very well. I'm not going to be the type of person to just say like, oh no, you can't do that. I'm not going to say, poo-poo to anybody's idea. But, if you want some genuine advice, or if you want some idea of what's going to happen as a result of it, consult the people who've been there before.
Right. Working on strengths and weaknesses is good, but that's the key thing there. And that observation is spot on. I've seen that lots of times in a lot of other clan matches that I've seen. That's the one thing I've always noticed, is that most people, it's the changing is what's difficult.
Yep.
And what was the other thing that you wanted to get into?
Dad?
Maybe.
Yeah, I really do agree with Tark's points. Tark made an interesting point the other day. He said that clan battles had already been going on for 6 weeks. So that means I don't know. It sort of seemed to be believed that clan battles are now irrelevant of some sort, and there's no way of keeping tabs like how many wins clan A, clan B has. And this isn't the opinion of. It's not the opinion of just me and Tark. There's other people in the community like Remy who have. I don't know. How do you put this?
The point accumulation system that also seems flawed.
No, not that. I don't know. He feels uncertain about like how the tournament is going to pan out, and whether he has to leave LSC to play in the tournament, stuff like that. And I know people from PF, like, they're not 100% growing to the new tournament idea, but I know some of them, they would like to take part as well. And I'm not gonna, like Tark said, I'm not gonna try and take that decision away from them. If they want to take part, then I'm all for that. Like, me and Tark, we love the competition in this game. We've been here for a long time now, and
that's another ambiguity about the tournament scene here, about this new tournament scene, is whether or not that you can still be a part of your respective clans when this is all said and done.
Definitely.
Here's how I feel about it. I don't know that we necessarily even need a tournament. In terms of trying to have like some, event where you have a semifinal and a final match and yada yada yada. I don't know if we have to have that, but I think what everyone would appreciate would at least be some type of ranking system, which last is what Mad Dog actually stepped in and created. I think that would be fantastic.
That was a good system he made.
And I mean, I can give you a great example of that was Tact. Watching them move up through the rankings and that was amazing. This was a team that, had not, as far as I'm aware, existed on Fall of Cybertron before that point. And, they just kept going up and up and up in the rankings. And it was great to watch that. Even being a participant in it, I was still happy. I'm not going to lie, I'm a TAC fan. I like watching TAC clan battles. I like watching, TAC success.
Oh, you guys.
You even managed to beat us fair and square.
Oh man, Omega didn't make that easy.
Oh, he never makes anything easy.
That was a really rough battle.
Yeah, man. But we got you the second time.
Oh, you guys did. That team deathmatch, man. You guys, by one. By that 1 point. And then the LSC, we fought you guys. That was good both times.
Oh yeah, it was a fantastic match. I mean, no complaints about it whatsoever.
Oh yeah. What were the other highlights that we wanted to go on to with the tournament setup here? My question that I wanted to ask you guys regarding this, because I wanted you guys to pretty much enlighten the viewing audience about this from your past experiences. But from my experiences so far going into this, I know I'm pretty green when it comes to the whole tournament scene, but I got a year under my belt, so I got something. I wanted to ask, with the past tournament layout ideas and with this new one here that feels a little bit ambiguous at a couple of other places before everything is concrete, I feel. Do you think it's a good idea in order to try and go through with this year, or to try and finish going through and setting everything up and then we try and debut this new idea next year? Because I feel this year what we can try and do if we want to do something new is just resurrect the Four Brothers tournament idea.
It's a bit of a tough question there, Rod.
Yeah. AB, did you want to go ahead, or did you want me to go ahead?
I'm just trying to think about that.
Okay. Well, if you want a second, I'll go ahead and tell you what I think. I think, first of all, we need to finish up what's going on with 2016 first. Right now, there is one match outstanding, which is PF.
NEL?
Yeah, that's right.
Didn't that match already?
It's a whole convoluted thing.
You mean to tell me that match isn't done yet?
No. You know, and AB can speak to that more than I can, but before we move, any further into 2017 as far as a tournament or anything else, that has to be concluded first. There's no question about that. And, you've got clan battles already happening for what's considered the 2017 season. And for me, I would say that we need to take it back to a very basic level. Not really focus on a tournament as such, but just basically rankings and points. Once we have an idea of who's going to be here, who's going to play, who is going to be committed to the idea of, okay, for the next 12 months, we're going to be doing these competitive matches, then we can kind of think about a tournament after the fact. But right now, we've actually got to get stuff going for this year once the previous year, technically finishes.
Well, let me point that out. PF, EL, handle the business. Make that clan battle happen. Don't leave it at a beautiful question mark.
Well, I have a lot to say about that, but I know AB does too, so I'll defer to him.
All right, Mr. 11?
I'm not going to go too much into that, but I will say that there was a lot of decisions that both sides felt were wrong. Oh, Rod, I'm going to tell you that it did actually happen. However, TDM will be postponed for another day. I
don't like the sound of that, however.
Yeah, so EL, they won CTF after Vex's foes. I mean, they were leading 2-0 initially, but the referee in this match was Mad Dog, and he made the call that the win went to EL. And then in Conquest, PF won by 10 points.
Damn.
And then it was close. And then Mad Dog had lunch, so both teams had to wait for him. And then EL were, I'm trying to say this in a non-biased way, but EL were
wanted to finish it then.
On the contrary, they were the ones pushing for the postponement. So,
what?
Yeah. Because some of their people had to go offline, and what I want to say here on this matter is that Mad Dog said that if there was to be a postponement, both teams would have to agree. However, PF did not.
Why did your guys not agree?
Oh, because we've got a lot of people working, and it's like we just wanted to finish it then and there, get the 2016 tournament over and done with, and move on to 2017 like the other clans have. That's what I wanted for my team.
Okay, that's actually an understandable counter argument.
Yes, and I think they should have actually completed it that day, but it did not happen. I'm not gonna personally involve myself with it since I'm not in EL or PF. But I kind of sympathize more with the PF position.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that right. You can write a whole book on that one. All right. Well, the tournament thing needs to be concluded of 2016 to decide the winner of that, and then we can move on and progress to the new idea or possible revived idea, quote unquote, of the 2017 season.
Yeah, I'll just make one more point on that.
Oh, go ahead.
You asked me a question, I'll answer that.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that obviously the 2016 tournament should have been done by now. I think that it should, the structure should be like fully decided by this year, because we don't really know how long the game will last. Like if it's 5 years, if it's gonna die the next year, stuff like that. And I just think that, yeah, it should really.
Well, with a battle that important, I think a time period, when it came down to it being in the Final Four or something like that, when it's that imperative of a decision, barring or including IRL concern or things that may happen in real life, there needs to be a time period set in place within a reasonable amount of time as to when the battle needs to be concluded or resumed. That way a victor can be decided, or by means of an understandable decision or whatever's written, then a victor will already be determined based off of the results of the match thus far.
Yes.
But the final was supposed to be decided by December of last year. I don't know why.
Well, we're 2 months too late.
I don't know why 2 months later this thing is still going on. Like, it should have been decided. LSC had their reasons for not playing in the semi-final. I don't want to go too into that, but I don't know, man. I think both sides were affected by the postponement and like for it taking so long to actually happen. What I will say is that I don't know, I'm just trying to think here. What I will say is that the 2017 tournament should, I don't know, there was no full clarification on like if it was still happening, because obviously LSE, I think TACT, definitely CEG, they had clan battles in this year, so I don't know, like there's no.
Oh no, we just. Oh, well, not to interrupt you, but I'm just going to clarify on that one. Those are non-relevant to the tournament. Those were like off the record clan battles that we had with CEG and LSC. Because the whole new thing of this year hadn't started yet. So these were just battles that we had just for the sake of battles.
That was my impression.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that either.
There was a... Oh, if you're talking about the replacement thing that was originally supposed to be with us taking LSC's place in the EL LSC thing, no, that was something different that wasn't taken, yeah.
I don't know, my final part on this is that I just think there needs to be some sort of clarification, like what is actually happening, because me and Tark, we've been hearing different things, and I'm not sure if myself personally will be taking part in the draft or the tournament, but people from my team and LSE, they might say, yeah, I want to try and jump in that tournament. And yeah, I think there really needs to be some clarity on that, on this whole discussion, That's what I feel.
Well, if I could jump in real quick, I mean, you actually said it pretty well, where neither you nor I have heard anything about it. We shouldn't have to hear things about it. Our groups should be included in the process. If we're not included in the process, you've got, close to 20, 30 people in a game with, no more than 100, 150 people in a competitive scene being excluded from it. That's not good. That doesn't actually bode very well for whatever prospect or system they want to put in place.
Not being fully communicative, or not having full communications.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, that doesn't serve anyone very well.
Nah. Because they're rushing along with the 2017 thing, then they want to already have the 2016 thing already taken care of, even though it's technically not taken care of.
Well, correct, and we've got bleed over from 2016 to 2017, and that's going to confuse the issue even more. What I'd like to do personally very soon is try to put something together that all the groups can agree on, that everyone can say, like, okay, I'm down with that, and then move forward. Because like AB said, the game's not getting any younger. We have no idea when Activision is just going to say, yeah, you know what, let's just shut it off. We're done. And we should be mindful of that.
Bingo.
So I don't know. I mean, that's just my position on it going forward.
Okay, that's an understandable disposition.
Yeah, I think we've discussed everything that I've had on my mind. I'm not sure if Tark wants to add anything to what we've said.
I
Okay.
mean, as far as anything else I have to say, I think that I've said pretty much everything I would like to about it. I mean, of course, I could go on for hours about the subject, but it's not going to do anybody any good. And I don't want to get my team or my group involved in any kind of unnecessary drama as a result of something I say. But, I think that we have to come together and find a better solution for what we currently have.
I agree with that too.
Fairly put. Alright, audience, I believe you heard what it is that they all have to say, and myself. And so now I turn my attention to you, the viewers. And I want you guys to comment in the comment section below of the podcast video here. I want to hear, and we want to hear, input from all the veteran players that want to have a say in this, because you do have a say in this. Everyone's opinion is valid for this topic. Because all you guys out there, veteran players, and the new ones that are coming up, you guys have all seen the clan battling and combat scene time and time again. So you know exactly the premise of what we're talking about here, verbally or emotionally. So any of you guys out there at all that have even been here in the past battles that we've referenced, between the ones hosted from Straxus or the ones from Danica, by all means, please comment below. That way we can get as much input on this as possible, and we can reach a very sound solution.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Rod.
Oh,
yes,
not a
thank
problem,
you very much.
No, not a problem, guys. The pleasure's all mine.
Have a good night.
Alright, you too. And viewing audience, you too. Till all are one.